Hello everyone, my name is William Taylor. I can't believe I'm making this video because I have contemplated doing so for a long time. It's time to finally come clean. It's time to tell the public the truth. It's time to tell you, whoever is out there watching, the truth. Apologies, I've written some of this down because there's a lot to get through. I used to work for the British government. As my close family knows, I did work for the government, but they did not know exactly what I did. I am extremely regretful for not telling them. And I have been living a lie for quite some time now. But now is my time to come clean. There are many advanced technologies being kept secret from you. There are plans to release these technologies to the public eventually, but as of now, they are highly classified. Now, please understand that they are going to come after me for making this video. I'm putting myself at great risk for telling you the truth. I will tell you everything I know, because there might not be another chance. My work started in the British government in a low-ranking position. Eventually I gained the trust of my superiors and slowly rose up the ranks, and one day I landed a job at the British Intelligence Agency. I was sat down in a dark room and had to swear that I would never tell anybody anything about my job or my work. I took the oath, but now I see it as better for humanity if I come forward and tell the truth. You may have heard of the Mandela Effect. The Mandela Effect, or false memory, is a phenomenon where a person recalls something that did not happen. It has been becoming more prevalent in recent years for a reason. I'll get to that in a second. You may also be aware that many time travelers have come forward with testimonies about their trips to the future. None of them are lying. Time travel was actually first successfully accomplished in 1981. Many of these time travelers, they have different stories about what the future is like, yet all of them are in fact telling the truth. This is because there is an infinite number of universes. This means that every possible universe exists, and it is possible to move freely between these universes. This gets me back to my job at the British Intelligence Agency. We had developed a machine that allowed one to not only time travel, but move between these parallel universes. This is how time travel works. Every time someone travels, they travel between parallel universes. They travel to an alternate universe, or a universe in which the year is different from the one they came from. That is why some accounts of the future might be different than others. I'll tell you about my first experience time traveling. I was put in the machine, which was a small sphere with only enough room for one person. The sphere was only about 4 inches thick and was made of lead to protect from the radiation involved in this process. The way they explained it to me was we live in a simulation. In fact, every universe is a simulation. I would first be sent to the 4th dimension, and then from there I would enter another universe with a different time. This was in the early 2000s. We had perfected the technology to a degree in which we could pinpoint a specific year. I was sent to the year 3000. We didn't know if human civilization would still be around, but we took the chance. During the process, I must have lost consciousness and regained it in what seemed to be only a few seconds. I was still inside of the spherical machine, however, through the window now, I saw a red sky. I opened the hatch and got out. It was in the middle of a large city covered with smog, presumably from pollution. There were very large buildings, but nobody seemed to be on the base level. It was empty. I looked up and saw flying transportation hundreds of feet above me, and I could only see the lights penetrating through the thick smog. I got an indication that the oxygen levels were low, so I had to get back inside of the time machine. I travelled back to the year I came from and was soon back inside my natural time. The scientists said I had only been gone for a few seconds, while I spent several minutes in the future. After telling the scientists my story, they then explained to me how exactly everything works. As it turns out, with every moment that goes by, we as humans actually travel to another universe in which things are slightly different. So a single universe is actually just a frozen moment in time, and certain universes are linked together to form what we know as a timeline. Now, in recent times, many people have been reporting instances in which they remember something one way, but then when they look back, it actually occurred another. These are commonly referred to as false memories, or the Mandela Effect. This is all due to the experiments in recent years being carried out by major governments around the world. There have been attempts to move the whole world onto another timeline and to change certain things. This is due to political, economical and psychological reasons. Now, you may be wondering how we acquired this technology. There have been a number of cover-ups of crashed extraterrestrial crafts. We were able to actually reverse engineer some of these crafts, and we found that they contained the advanced technology needed to time travel between dimensions and also become invisible. A number of the crafts were rebuilt, and I actually saw a few of those crafts with my own eyes. It was also to be my final mission before I was let go of my job. I was to be sent to the year 8973. We chose this date because of calculations determining that this would be when humans and technology would fully merge into one. This was, of course, a far bigger risk than my journey to the year 3000, because there was a likelihood that Earth would have been abandoned and humans be living exclusively on other planets. I didn't have anything to lose except my life, and I was offered very good financial compensation. I was put inside the same spherical time machine that they used to send me on my previous mission, and this was 4 years after that mission. I again lost consciousness when the machine was powered on. When I regained consciousness, I saw light peering into the window of the time machine. It was very bright. I looked below and saw green grass, and above me a blue sky. It looked as if I was in a park with a few trees. I determined that the air would be safe to breathe, so I opened the hatch and stepped out, proceeding to look around. The first thing I noticed was that the people there looked different. There was a paved walking trail, and I saw these people walking, socializing, having a good time. They were all very tall and skinny. They had big heads and big eyes. I walked over to a group of these people standing in a circle, and unsure of what to say, I just said, "Excuse me, what year is this?" Those people turned around and looked at me for a second, and a woman answered, "You're in the year 8793. Everyone seemed as if it was completely normal that they had just met a time traveller. I told them that I was from the year 2005, and everyone seemed completely unfazed. I asked them if they were human, and a man told me we are not human. At this point I was very confused. I asked, "Are you robots or aliens?" Another man answered, "We are a combination of both humans and robots." He told me that everyone lives forever. I asked if overpopulation was an issue, and he said that they had colonized many other planets throughout the universe and that they would never run out of space. Some people lived inside simulations as well. There was no disease, no conflict, and everything was perfect. I was in a utopia. The next thing I noticed was the public transport. I saw a city in the distance and I wanted to go into that city to find out more about this future time that I was seeing. There was this machine that you stepped inside and there was a few buttons with what I assumed were places. One of the buttons said downtown, so I clicked it. I went unconscious again and regained consciousness in a similar machine, but I could tell I was now in the middle of the city. I stepped out onto the roads. I looked around for cars but saw none. There were only people walking, riding hoverboards and floating a couple of feet off the ground with only their shoes. I looked above me and saw what resembled cars and buses, yet they were flying so fast that you could barely make out what they were. To my surprise, I saw other people that looked like normal people from my time. I went up to one of these people and asked him if he was also from the future. He said that he was a time traveller from the year 2055. I told him that I was from 2005. It seems as if these time travellers were free to come and visit this future, or any time travellers from any time. There was no crime as far as I could see. I loved this future, but I knew that I had a responsibility. It seemed as if they had found solutions to literally any problem you could have. Do you need more time? They had even found a solution to this. There was this machine that could allow you to perceive time slower than usual, so you could get more accomplished in less time. This is why some people appeared to be moving much faster than others. One man even let me try out the machine. I looked into the sky and saw a very bright red glow. It was next to the sun. I asked someone what that was and they said it was the red supergiant star Antares. It had exploded into a supernova and now it was visible in broad daylight. I was astounded. I was also wondering why everybody could speak such perfect, fluent English. I stopped a lady in the street and asked her, and she told me that everyone has a device implanted in their heads that allows them to do an instant brain scan on the person they are talking to. Their words are then instantly translated to words that are recognizable to the person, depending on that person's timeline, location, etc. She also told me that people in the future don't even talk with their mouths unless they are talking with someone from a different time. That is why their mouths had evolved to be so much smaller than our modern mouths. Their implanted devices allowed them to communicate with each other in what can only be described as telepathy. I checked my watch and found I had spent more than 5 hours in the future and realised it was time to come back. I went back to my time machine in the park and went back to 2005. The whole thing was like a dream, but it was real. I had taken many pictures of the future, yet they were confiscated by the government immediately. I feel as if it is my responsibility to tell you about my experiences for a few reasons. Firstly, it should lead everyone watching to make good decisions about the future. Remember to always keep solving problems so one day we can live in this utopia that I visited. It was truly heaven on earth. Also, I feel the need to communicate this because advanced technologies are being kept secret from you, but not for long. They plan to release these technologies like time travel to the public in 2028. Until then, I hope you all make good decisions that will make positive impact on the future of humanity. I'd like to thank ApexTV for distributing my message to the world. It is highly important that this gets seen by as many people as possible. People need to know about this. Remember to keep innovating with new technologies and new cures. Push this world forward. Our lives will continue to get better if you do so.